everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Transparent Homeschool. My name is Beth and I homeschooled two kiddos, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. We just yesterday finished up our first homeschool year, and so we have that under our belt, and I am so excited for it to be summer. Yes, it is the very end of March, and originally when I had done my schedule, we were following a Sabbath schedule, which is 6 weeks on, 1 week off. But then, as you know, that I've mentioned in other videos, my husband and I found out that we were expecting our third child, and so doing homeschool and going through pregnancy was really tough for me. So we kind of had to do a lot of adjusting, and I didn't want to have a newborn and then continue to have school. Like, I wanted everything finished before the baby came. And so my due date is next week, and I think that we did a really good job at kind of getting everything done before the baby came. Yes, it's at the end of March, but again, that's the beauty of homeschooling. You can be flexible and move your schedule around depending on your life. So, also with that said, you can see behind me I have bins, and the walls are really plain. If you've seen any of my other videos, it's usually much more colorful than that. We are also moving a couple weeks after the baby is born, and so I've decided, since school is over, I will start packing up all my stuff, and I'm really sad about it, but that's another conversation. Anyway, so this video is going to be a kind of like end of year review of the curriculum that we were using, if I liked it, if I didn't like it, if we're going to do it next year. And so I'm just going to get started, but I do want to tell you that I have notes down here. So if you keep seeing me like look up and down, that's what I'm doing. I'm making sure I don't forget anything that I want to share. So, as many of you know, I made a video prior about Memoria Press. We chose to use the whole package kindergarten curriculum. The only thing that we did not purchase from Memoria Press for kindergarten was the math program. And I'll touch on what we used for math when I'm finished with Memoria Press. So, for me, as one, a first-time homeschooling parent, number two, a type A, crazy, organized person, I liked the idea of having a manual that was planned out for me by week, by day, and what I would be doing for each subject on each day. There was a checkbox, and you just check it off as you go down the list. And as a first-time homeschooling mom, I wasn't sure how I fit into the teaching, the planning, the organizing of all of the content that I had to get through, you know, in the kindergarten year. So really having an open and go curriculum was super important to me, and that is exactly what you get with Memoria Press. The box comes, all of your books are in there, the manual is on top, you open it up, and there you go. Because we started in July, the middle of July, all of the like enrichment books that you were reading, they did correlate with the holidays that would take place during the year. And so one thing that I did have to do was, once I got all of my materials, I did have to go through and reassign kind of the enrichment part of the curriculum. I didn't have to do that with the phonics or the Bible work, really, because that's just kind of its own thing. But like all the enrichment activities, like in the read-alouds and the crafts and things, I did have to go and rearrange them so that they did correlate with the actual dates of the holidays and things like that. So, for example, like we were in like November or something when we would have to be doing like stuff for you know, the next holiday. Well, or like so like if we're in November, we had to be doing stuff for like Halloween. Like that didn't really correlate, and so because we started so early and this manual was made to follow the more traditional school calendar, again, I just had to go and rearrange some things, but that didn't really bother me. Because it was, again, open and go, all the page numbers were there, and that was really helpful to me to kind of just get me going with homeschooling in general. The other thing that I really enjoyed was the copybook. I feel that it's really beneficial to use scripture to practice handwriting and to really hone in on like your penmanship skills and your wrist movements and control and all of that. And so I really liked the copybook because you got to draw pictures, you read scripture, you got to copy scripture. It was just a really rich time of the week that we got to share together, and I thought that was really cool. And so that's something that I really enjoyed from Memoria Press. The next, I have shared this many times, their Storybook Bible is one of my favorites that I've seen. I have seen quite a few Storybook Bibles, and I will say it is probably by far my favorite. I love the pictures. They're so colorful and beautifully done, and the stories are 2 pages, so it's not like this huge, dense, heavy biblical story, but it is very appropriate for a 5-year-old boy who can barely keep his attention for 5 minutes. And so it was a really good fit for our family, and I love it so much. I can't really say anything bad about it. The other thing are the read-alouds and the crafts that go along with them. We did not do a lot of the read-alouds, and here's why. Again, when we found out that we were expecting, once the first trimester symptoms kicked in, it just wasn't feasible for me as a homeschooling parent to still keep track of all of these great and wonderful things that they include in their curriculum. We did do phonics, we did get our math done, copybook, and Bible, but it was really hard to include all of those other extras that they suggest. And so I wish we would have done more of the read-alouds. I wish we would have done more of them because the ones that we did do were great. They were beautiful stories, lovely illustrations, great morals, and the crafts themselves were just amazing. But what we did do is toward the end of the year, we kind of doubled up on crafts. And so even though we didn't do the read aloud, we still kind of completed the craft because my kids absolutely loved the crafting portion of the curriculum. It was like, oh, are we going to do a craft today? Are we going to do, we're going to make something? And so I really did try to incorporate the whole craft curriculum toward the end here. And they seemed to really enjoy that. So the read alouds and the craft book that went along with it, A+. I loved it so much. And then the phonics program for Memoria Press was really comprehensive, and I think that they did a really good job at covering all of the basics of phonics. Now, one of the things that I absolutely 100% loved and will never regret is letting somebody else teach my son to read and watch his progress. I understand that, not everybody can homeschool, but for me, having that time this year has been such a blessing, and one of the memories I think that I will just hold on to is that I got to watch him learn how to read, discover words and discover confidence in his reading. And that to me is so valuable and so precious, but yeah, I just loved it. It was one of my favorites, and so I really think that it was because of Memoria Press's phonics program that he did catch on and really grow into a confident kindergartner reader. Having said that, I'm going to talk about this very soon, but he is, I would say, probably right normally on grade level, right? He's not reading at a first grade level, but he's not struggling either. He's pretty much kind of at the norm right now. And so I was just really excited with his progress this year and really happy with all of the work that he did for the phonics program. So for math, again, that was like phonics and the enrichment program. For the math, we did opt out of the Rod and Staff curriculum, which is what comes with Memoria Press, we chose to go with Right Start Math. And I think this was probably one of the best decisions I've made this year. When we were looking at the curriculum and kind of deciding, where we wanted to fit in with math, for me, Rod and Staff, I've heard great things about Rod and Staff, so I'm not saying Rod and Staff is bad, okay? What I am saying is, for me, it was just kind of boring, like just a bunch of worksheets and not really a way to explore math, but just to learn it and memorize it. And what I wanted my son to do was have a really good foundation of like number sense and like subitizing. And so subitizing is like, quickly recognizing numbers based on a picture. And it doesn't have to be the number. It can be fingers, it can be objects, it can be tally sticks, what have you. But, and then number sense is basically just the relationship between numbers, and different ways to make up different numbers. So anyway, I think Right Start Math was a really great choice. As I showed you in my other video about Right Start Math, if you haven't seen it, go and check that out because their manipulative kit is extraordinary. It's very extensive. There's a lot. Again, all of these green bins right here are full of all of the manipulatives that come with the kit. But, so again, this was an open and go curriculum as well. You open it up, there's the lesson. There's a few things that you need that didn't come with the kit, but mostly it's just everything that came with the manipulative kit. You get it out and you start. It's scripted, it tells you what to say, it tells you what to ask the children, and it tells you the answers, and then it tells you some other kinds of ways to explain things in case kids don't get it. It was just fabulous. It was fabulously written, and it really incorporates all of the manipulatives in a really creative way that, for my son, really caught his attention and really kept him engaged. So I was really, really into that. Again, the manipulatives are great. I think they do a really good job at teaching the concepts that they were created for. And the last thing about Right Start that I really loved, again, kind of comparing it to Rod and Staff, is that it was not worksheet heavy. There is a workbook, but I mean, it's like every couple of lessons you're doing one worksheet. You're not doing a worksheet every day. It's mostly games that you're playing, and it's parent involvement. Like it is, like you're teaching them. I'm going to touch on that later, but it was just, I love this math program, and I will recommend it to anybody who has more of maybe like a kinesthetic learner or a visual learner, because these are just so great at getting those points, the concepts that they're trying to teach. It solidifies them in a great way. That lets you learn how math works. You can experience it, you can touch it, and you can see it, and I think that has made a difference for my son. So now, I told you what I loved about Memoria Press and what I loved about Right Start Math. Now I'm going to switch gears and tell you what I did not like about Memoria Press, what I did not like about Right Start Math. We'll start with Right Start Math because the list is very small. The only two things that I did not that I did not like about Right Start Math is that, one, it is extremely parent-led. Like, you are doing everything, at least in the beginning, because, one, your kids can't read. Two, you're still kind of building on those really basic concepts. But it was all me, like, all me. With other programs, I have, researched, there's like a DVD that you watch and someone else is teaching the lesson and you're kind of there as like a facilitator. That's not the case with Right Start Math. Right Start Math is you are the teacher. You are the one who is really going to be there. So it's super parent involved and parent led. And so if that's not your thing, probably not good for you. I didn't mind it. But that's just something, it kind of bothered me at times, that it was just like every day I was the one doing it. And I did want a little break here and there. But again, it wasn't a deal breaker for me. It just kind of was something that I was like, ugh, but again, I got through it, and I think the cons far just don't even compare to the pros of this program. And then the last thing about Right Start Math I did not like was I think some of the lessons were really lengthy. Again, for a 5-year-old boy, I don't know if my son really got anything past 30 minutes. Like after that, it was just, he was done. And so some of the lessons did take a really long time to complete. And for that reason alone, that was probably my biggest standoff from Right Start Math, having completed the whole year. Will I be using Right Start Math next year? 100%. Hands down, yes. Toward the end of the year, we did get into a groove where I would kind of overview the lesson, and if there was something that was kind of like review or it was repetition, if he needed it, fine. If not, I just cut it out. And so most of our lessons did stay within the 30-minute time frame, which I think was a lot more beneficial for him than kind of doing everything on the page. So yes, we will be using Right Start Math next year, level B, and I think it's gonna be incredible because he loves math. He loves math. So on to Memoria Press. What I did not like about Memoria Press. Number one, it was extremely work heavy. They plan so much stuff in your year. It is hard. It is hard, one, to keep your lessons under 45 minutes. And that's a long time for a 5-year-old boy. Like I said, with math, my son had probably a 30-minute attention span and he was done. Same thing with phonics. He had probably a 30-minute attention span and he was finished. But we had so much stuff to do. They planned so much stuff that we tried to get it all done, but sometimes it was just awful. It was really, really awful. Now, the curriculum is not awful. Just how much stuff that they plan was really hard to get through. Now, at the end of my school year, I've kind of come to the point where it's like, this is not, I don't have to do everything on this page. And so it was only in the last quarter where it was like, we don't need to do this, we don't need to do that, nope, 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 and that did cut down on our lesson time. But the whole first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, I was killing myself trying to get all of this stuff packed into our school day. And that was just, to me, a huge turnoff. I don't need that stress. I don't even think that a 5-year-old should be expected to sit there for that long and do 6 workbook pages at one time. There's no way. There's no way. And then I think, again, they just really overloaded the manual with things to do. Again, it took me 4 quarters, basically, to figure out I don't have to do all those things. But again, I paid for the curriculum. I'm a checkbox marker. I'm a type A personality. So if you make me a list, I'm going to do the list. And so it was just not a good fit. We did not do any of the art cards that I showed you. We didn't do a single one of them. We didn't do any of the music stuff. And so, again, kind of wasted money there for us. Again, other people do include this, and they do it great. I did not do it great. The last thing was the recitation and the memorization. Again, we did have our first trimester pregnancy thing going on, and so the memorization just didn't happen. But, again, I'm going to make another video about my teaching style that I've kind of discovered through this year, but I do not think that classical is for me. And that's what Memoria Press is classical. So there's a lot of memorization, and to me it just didn't seem like it was going to be time well spent. When I had a 45-minute plus phonics lesson that I had to do, it just didn't work for me. So all in all, I did like the phonics program for Memoria Press, but there's just so much that it didn't work out for our family. Will we be using it next year? No. I do recommend it if people are totally into classical education. Look at it as an option. It's affordable, it's great, and it is an open and go box. But it didn't work for our family, so we are not going to continue with it next year. I will do another video also about what we did, kind of like our unboxing of all of our curriculum. But I will say next year we are going to be using Right Start Math and The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts, and then a whole bunch of other things in there. So that's my end of year review for our curriculum, and I will see you in my other videos. Bye!